Hey, what is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you tuning in. Um, Today, I have a good friend of mine who happens to be an author. He just recently wrote a book that's called Children of Violence, and I'm going to go over some things with him in regards to this book and how he kind of got started and all those different things. So, before I get into that, though, I'll say what's up to everybody. There's a lot of people in here: Diane, Chrisola, Jane, Rebecca, Jessica Lynn, Joy, Jets, MJ, Tammy, Christola, Still Shorty, Jen K, Jets mom, Tammy, Jennifer, AJ. Let's see. Hopefully, I don't miss anybody. Tammy, AJ, Rebecca, Sandy. Hey, what's up, Sandy? Misty, BS. That's a cool name. True Seeker, Diane. Yeah, so we got Lufa. Hey, what's up, Lufa? Amanda, Janessa. So yeah, we got quite a few people in here. Kathy, Rosaling. Hey, what's up, Rosaling? Time for a change. Georgia. What's everybody? What's up, guys? Nikki Rex. Hey, what's up? Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, I have Luke Gherardi here. Is that how you pronounce it? Gherardi?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Luke Gherardi with me. I know it's a really tough, difficult name to say because of it's not a typical last name that you'd hear like a Johnson or anything like that. So, but when you first got started, like you just woke up one morning and you're like, hey, I'm gonna write a book. Like I'm always curious as to like what create someone to write a book. Like what just like something sparked in you and you're like, hey, I'm gonna write a book.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me on. Barnes and Noble told me this is the worst time as a new author to release a book because of COVID. You can't do any promoting at
Yeah.
all. So thank you for that.
You picked the perfect time, huh?
Yeah. So I wanted to write after college. I wanted to write a book, and every year for 15 years probably, I would start writing something and then I would stop because I would think to myself, oh, I can't write about this topic, or I can't say this word, or I would always think about the people that would potentially read what I wrote. And that would always, unfortunately, hinder me from actually writing or finishing a project. And eventually I sat down and just said enough of that. And I just wrote everything I thought about, everything I wanted to say, my book does have a lot of bad language in it, and it does cover a lot of.
Well, it kind of goes with the title though, too, right? The Children of Violence.
Yeah. So it started off with just a bunch of short stories. And I wrote all these short stories, and then I took 6 or 7 of them, and I just took those ones and I re-edited them and I added things in, and I just kind of connected them into one narrative. And the response has been, overwhelming. No one said anything negative. And the people that I was worried about, thinking bad things about me or, any negativity, they're not going to read it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that didn't even matter.
That's kind of how you have to live by too. Like even me, like going into originally starting YouTube and stuff like that, and obviously being a musician. Do you remember back in the day? Actually, you had been to one of my concerts. Do you remember? I think you've been to several of the concerts.
I've been to a few back in the day. Yeah, that was. I've always been around, popping in and out. Yeah, but I remember that, and it's very. I mean, so this, it's very scary to put yourself out there and for everyone to see everything that you want to do and you want to say. Yeah. And I, for over a decade, was afraid of that judgment. And I don't know what happened, but I just said I can't be afraid of that, just go with
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
Yeah.
With me too, I just started a new thing recently, which is, hey, everybody on the Facebook Lives portion of it here. Sorry, trying to adjust that camera. So I'm actually running Facebook Live over
Oh,
here
okay.
for the first time. This is the very first time that I've actually done it. So I want to say what's up to everybody on the Facebook Live. You guys won't be able to see what's going on here with Luke, but and the same thing with anybody on YouTube too, if it's more convenient for you guys, if you wanted to jump to Facebook Live too, it's whatever you guys want to do. But I'm doing a multi-stream here, so this is the first time, Luke, like your official groundbreaking stuff right now, man. Like I'm going live on two different things. So
Okay, cool.
you guys will be able to hear the voice of Luke Gherardi. And to fill you in, what's going on is basically he's an author. He's come up with the book Children of Violence, which he said contains many, many, many cuss words. So be prepared to either wipe your mouth or your ass, one of the two. I'm not sure which one yet, but.
So yeah, the book covers subjects such as racism, suicide, religious brainwashing. I'm not talking about people going to church. I'm talking about the extreme religious bad things that happen, child abuse, alcoholism, drug use, prostitution. It's a slim book. It's a novella, so it's not a full novel. It's only 125 pages or so, but it just covers a lot of material. A lot of stuff happens. I probably wrote 3 times what's in the finished product, but I just chopped away anything that didn't need to be in there and just went straight for the narrative.
Nice. What I'm going to have you do too, since if you wouldn't mind reading a portion of your book, so like people can kind of get an idea and a gist of like what your book's about, what it entails, and then you can go into specific characters too. I have obviously some other questions that I'd like to ask too in regards.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But let's start there.
Well, I'll give a little breakdown into some of the characters. There's 4 kids, and they all grow up around extremely violent adults. So there's Gracie. Gracie's dad is a hitman for the mob. She doesn't know this really, but she knows that something is off with her dad and that he hurts people from time to time. You have Cole. Cole's dad is ex-military. He suffers from PTSD, and all he does is drink alcohol. Robbie lives in the hood. His mother is a prostitute, and her boyfriend is a pimp, and he beats everybody, which is obviously not cool. And then there's Reeves. Reeves grows up in a cult. So he grows up in a cult, a religious cult, and that has these training camps to survive the apocalypse. I grew up in a church. This is kind of an extreme version of the cultish upbringing that I had. And I had these guys in the church when I grew up. They would always live in the woods like it was the 1700s, right? And they would survive and hunt and live in teepees. And like growing up, it was just a normal thing. These guys are living in the woods, but looking back, it's a little bit off, so this is more of an extreme version of that.
So you can't see the comments right now, probably because you're going from your phone, but Natasha had a question for you. Is this a fiction or nonfiction?
So it's a fiction book, yes, but a lot of it is fictionalized versions of my childhood. So a lot of stories a lot of things that happened to myself or my dad, and some of the things that we went through. And I just kind of fictionalized them and gave the stories new life to made up characters. But it's all, I'd say 75% of it is based on stuff that's actually happened.
Nice. So like you've had like different accounts through your life. I think everybody has. I mean, if we're being realistic, like I'm sure everybody's gone through like either growing pains and different things or portions throughout your life, or you've been around somebody that's either been involved with those things. So a lot of times, is that kind of like what you draw from? Like you draw like your fictional characters is basically like off of somebody else that you've known, and kind of give like a general, like, you know, like obviously I'm sure it's not, you know, exactly their life, but
I draw my characters from real people, but then I just kind of make up stuff around them. But the basis is the basis of the character is usually somebody that I knew or grew up with. And in this book, there are a lot of stories that people that were some of my friends, and I asked them before writing. I said, "Hey, can I write about this story that you told me? It's not going to be you. It's not going to be, you know, your exact situation, but may I write about this because it's so interesting and so strange, and that I want to write about it."
And
And
I'll give you an account. I'll give an account too, because like you are a very interesting, unique individual. I will say that. Like there's like some times that you just do so. What is this? There's been times where you walk around. What do you call people? You call them humans? Is that right?
yeah, yeah.
Good morning, human. Good morning, fellow human. Like, so, like, I want you to understand, like him writing a book to me is like absolutely like it's brilliant, because like you're very good at storytelling. You're a very humorous person, like, and I think that's a side of that people that haven't really seen of you yet, because you know you're obviously have only been here one time, but I think people will find once they get to know you a little bit better. You're a funny guy. You have a good sense of humor. You're a father. You're a father.
Yep.
So and how old your little one? Not so
Oh,
little anymore, but
she's 7 now.
seven. So how would you feel about me showing a video of you playing the guitar and her dancing?
Yeah, that's what we do a lot. We she's into Taylor Swift, so I used to play a lot of 90s rock and roll, learning a lot of Radiohead, all that, you know, Smashing Pumpkins and Foo
Yeah.
Fighters. And then now all I do is learn Taylor Swift songs, and I sing Taylor Swift songs, and she dances. So that's
So if Taylor Swift ever needs like a backup or anything, you know, if she ever contacts me, I'm gonna send her right your
yeah.
direction.
If she gets hurt on stage and I'm there, she can go off stage, and I can just go on stage and just continue.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, if you're okay with it, like for real though, I'm being serious, because I think that's a silly side of you that people would be interested in seeing. So if you wanted to, what about the people over there? Are you okay with me showing the video if the people want to see it?
Oh, one of the videos? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Go ahead.
All right, we'll show that here in a little bit, and it's funny. It's he sings with it. Well, he doesn't sing. Well, you kind of do sing a little bit,
Yeah, I
right?
sing in the
Background
background.
vocals.
Yeah, so there's
You get the
a
background
couple of
vocals
those
going.
videos, and we're just having a good time. It's kind of my silly side, I guess, but.
And Joy, one of my moderators, just posted your book on the Amazon too. But
Oh, okay.
my moderators have been posting the book throughout here too, and it's also in the description too. So, guys, if you're going after Facebook people, you're going to have to go over to YouTube and check it out. If you want to check out the link is on YouTube too as well. So, yeah, I'm all getting. What was I saying? I don't even remember. Yeah, but you going around there. So, like I said, if Taylor Swift ever needs somebody, I know who to call, buddy. I know who to call.
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, go ahead and read a little portion of which you have some of the most interesting parts of your book.
Okay.
So you get
Yeah.
just what you're doing.
So this portion is about. Now, there's going to be some bad language in here, obviously. So.
Hey, bad language away, man. We're kid free zone. So.
Okay. All right. So this portion is about. So Gracie and her dad are going into town, okay? And she doesn't know where they're going, and he is drunk. He's always drunk, okay? And the only thing he ever talks about is his time in the military, or being drunk. Okay? And he's talking about the war and the old days. Okay? And he's going to talk about, yeah, so I'll just go with it. Okay?
Have at it.
Okay. So all this shit is going down, and it's going down bad. Me and Chris get separated from the unit. It's windier and shit, and in the middle of all the chaos, gunfire, and bombs, it got silent. No wind, no sand, no bombs, no guns, no nothing. Chris and I turn a corner in the alley, and there he is. He's just a kid. He's got this big-ass kitchen steak knife. I'll be honest, I hesitated for a fraction of a second. Can you believe it? I don't give a shit about anybody, except you and Ma, you know. This motherfucker stabs me twice. It happened so fast. Once in the leg, once in the gut. So Chris shoots the fucker, right? But it's this weird shooting where you think the blood's going to come out the other side and make a mess. But it doesn't. I don't know why. Usually point-blank shots are nasty. We were low on ammo, surrounded. At least I thought we were. The fucking cowards were in the process of retreating. Chris only shot him twice, but he wasn't dead. He was screaming and wiggling around in the fucking dirt. We didn't want anyone to hear this cocksucker, so Chris caves his melon in with the butt of his gun. It took him 5 hits to make the fucker stop moving. Fucker had a will to live. What a mess. But we had to put him out of his misery, you know? It was the humane thing to do. He was going to die anyway. Like I said, we were low on ammo. What are you going to do? We were in the shit of it, you know? And I'll tell you something else. Your stomach muscles ain't no fucking joke. Ain't like the movies where some fucking jack-off gets shot or stabbed and can still crawl or walk. I dropped hard, didn't even feel the leg wound, even though later they told me it was the worst of the 2 stabs. Dad turned the key, backed out of the driveway, straightened out the wheel, and put the gear lever into drive. I remember all the details of that day except for where we were going. I guess that's because we never made it there, wherever there was. We drove on and he continued blabbering on. And all those ideas about God, duty, and patriotism, all gone in a second. The pain. Fuck. Couldn't believe it. Grew up as a good all-American Christian boy my whole life. And in that moment, in that one fucking instant, to get rid of the hurt, I swear I would have sold my soul to the cheapest bidder, devil included. They train you to kill. Reset your mind. Kill. Move on. Those aren't humans over there, just targets. And really, they weren't even people. You should see how these people live. Some people like me don't need the mental training to learn how to kill and move on. It's just there. So when it happens, the mind processes it like it's no big deal. Maybe natural, but probably because of how I grew up, seeing the things I saw and doing the things I did, you know, in the old neighborhood. Now, I grew up seeing some terrible shit you can't imagine, shit I don't want you to imagine. Maybe not as bad as I seen in the war, but just as evil. At home, it was real, like a presence, a fog maybe is the best way to describe it. You got to live in it, but it shaped and molded me for what was to come. Get it? Over there, it's just a job, and that's what I'm trying to keep you away from. I give you all this shit all the time about how good you have it, but in reality, I don't want you to end up like me. Understand, Grace? He looked over at me. I could smell the alcohol. I nodded in agreement. Now, anytime anyone finds out I was overseas, they say shit like, "Thank you for your service," and then they want to shake my hand. Service of what? All the assholes I shot were uneducated little boys. If any of them were over 20, I'd be surprised. All of them were illiterate fucks, scared out of their minds, no combat training, trying to fight the greatest army in the history of the world. These fuckers were out there throwing rocks at tanks. No clue what was going on. Fucking president always talk about spreading democracy, freedom, rights, get his fan base all riled up, get votes, stay in power. None of it real. None of it. These people don't want democracy, don't need it, don't understand it, don't care about it. They couldn't figure out democracy from their dick in the fucking dirt. They're on a different level, and not a good level. So weeks before I was stabbed, we were on patrol about 40 clicks outside of Kabul. We go to this small village, and the translator's talking to some goat herders. I mean, these people are in bad shape. They're old. They die at 45 if they make it that long. Our translator tells us not only do these people in the village not understand the concept of a unified Afghanistan, they don't even know about Kabul, what it is and where it's at. Kabul, the biggest city in all of Afghanistan. It's 25 miles or so away. These people live and die in these small villages, never going other than a few miles, maybe to herd the goats or gather food and get buckets of water. No plumbing, no electricity. no understanding of free market enterprise or needing to be a part of a government that represents the people. These are nomadic tribesmen. Their only goal is to make it from one day to the next. Listen, there's nothing noble about war. It's all a glorified game of cowboys and Indians. I had 13 confirmed kills. 13's unlucky. It's probably why I got stabbed. That might seem like a lot, but think about this. I was in country for 220 days total. Those 13 kills happened in 9 combat situations. That means 240 plus days I was walking around in the desert and the hills with my pud in my hands doing fuck all, but always ready. You know what I mean? I nodded. I had no clue what he was talking about or where the conversation was going. The reason I remember this day so well is because it was the first time I saw a dead body. Dad killed him. Well, kind of.
Wow, man. That actually sounds like a pretty crazy book. I didn't even have a chance to start reading it because I've been so freaking crazy busy, but that sounds like some freaking actual good content.
Yeah,
that sounds like a book right up my alley.
Yeah, and I've gotten a lot of I was worried about stuff like that. One thing I was really worried about, and you can't, like you were talking about earlier, you can't worry about putting it all out there. You know?
No, you can't.
A lot of my book is about racism and, you know, black and white relations, you know, and when you're around actual racist people, they talk out in the open. They just say whatever's on their mind, you know, and I was worried about putting that kind of language in my book.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want people to think that I was that way.
And I couldn't tell you guys, like, this is not even close to, like, when you hear like all these different words flying out of your mouth and playing and portraying your character and stuff like that, which by the way, you do fantastically too. Like, I think you got like this character's like his whole persona down. Like, it just seems like you got this down, man.
Yeah, he's just saying everything, you know, and he's mean.
That's why, you know what? That's why I always think it would be interesting too to like have like each author like actually read their book, because honestly, the only person that's going to be able to correctly interpret the way that they are trying to, you know, show their character, you know, show everything that they signify and everything that they are. The only way that they're ever going to be able to do that is like actually playing the character themselves, because they know how they wrote it. You know how you wrote the book.
And that's how I wrote it. I have a kitchen island, and if there was a camera on me, people would think I was insane. I walk around this kitchen island and I scream back and forth the dialogue until it makes sense, you know, and then I write it down and walk around and scream like a madman some more, you know.
You know, my honest opinion too, like, I think that people that write books are kind of like in the same category as if you were to do like a musician or somebody that can paint, you know, paint like a Picasso or whatever. It's a very unique art form in order to do it, because you really do have to, in a sense, play a character. Like when you doing that, like I envision myself, because when I do music, like I do the same exact thing. It's like I play as if I'm that character. If it's a guy who's done some bad, messed up things in his life, like I portray like I'm that character. I go like deep into thought, and I'm like, you know, I'm like the bad guy. I'm like, you know, and like you just get into it. And I think that's usually what creates like the best kind of content, is because like you actually. It's almost like you go in an alter ego. You go in an alter ego.
Exactly. Because I've sat down and written dialogue, and then the next day I read it and I say, that's not how.
What's up, Will?
That's not how people talk, you know. Because the other problem I had was people talk in slang, and it's not proper English. Yeah. And I write in proper English, and then I have to take that out. I have to take the base.
You're like, it doesn't go with my character. It's not with they go from a different slang.
Yeah, so people don't talk. You know, people don't talk in proper proper English a lot. You know.
Yeah, so it's crazy to me, because like, and like I said, like if you're, I'm like, oh my God, I hate that word. When I need to start using my words like a big boy.
Yeah.
You start using my words like a big boy. Okay. So when you go and you do these characters and stuff like that, Um, do you find you get yourself, when you start going into it, do you find it spilling over sometimes into your like daily life? Like honestly, like do you get so in character that you've written these things and you start, like you say, walk around, start yelling, start talking like a crazy person with the dialogue? Do you
It's
get so
usually
far into it?
it doesn't go off into my real life, but I usually write at night
Mhm.
before I go to bed, and I'll dream. It'll go crazy. My dreams will be really weird and crazy, if that makes sense, because
Mhm.
I'm in these mental places that are different, and then I go bed. Then I go to bed. So and
Then I
then
go to bed.
but yeah,
Yeah.
the dreams get really weird, and I wake up and I don't know where I'm at. I'm just at home, nothing crazy like that. But yeah,
So you've never come home with actual blood on your hands or anything like that? Because I gotta make
not
sure, because
yet.
you know that I'm a paranormal true crime investigator, man. Like,
Yeah,
you know that like, I don't want to have to go like ghost. I don't need to go book Ghostbusters on your ass and come at your house and then see what else is going on there. So
yeah.
I don't want you to get too far too deep into these characters.
Well,
But no,
so how I came up with the characters was a little about me is I kind of had a strange upbringing where I grew up in a small farming community
you did.
with my mom, and my dad lived in a really, really, really rough part of St. Louis. And so on the weekend, during the week, I would just be in this nice, quiet, small, white farming community. And then I
Mhm.
would go to the hood on the weekends, and it was just, it's, I can't
Night,
even describe it.
night.
It's like a
How
different
was that
world.
adjustment though for you? Like,
It,
how did you figure out how to
you just
adjust
had
it?
to, you had to transition. You had to talk different. You had to act different. It was so bizarre. Like I couldn't tell really the kids in the small town because I don't even think they'd believe me. Like what's going on, in the bad parts of the city.
So,
And
I was going to ask you, what's the worst? Sorry to interrupt you, but what's the worst portion or something that has happened to you, um, as like a person? Like, have you ever been involved in like something that you shouldn't have? And
not really. I one of the more bad things that happened to me was I was 17 or 18, and I would pick up hitchhikers, and that's a bad idea. To the viewing audience, I have some advice: don't pick up hitchhikers. And I usually hitchhikers are really nice people, just trying to get just trying to get a ride. And I picked up the wrong guy, and I ended up at a crack house buying crack from a guy on the streets. And I learned that day that
oh, yeah.
when the guy sold the guy was in the
Welcome to
passenger
the family,
seat,
Tasha.
and he had a gun and I did not. And he had a gun and he made me drive him around. I'm like 17.
So
And
he literally held you hostage. This dude
yeah, well,
literally held you hostage.
he had a gun, and he's like, uh, he's like, I ain't gonna hurt you, but I just need to get a ride to get some stuff for my friend. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And so we end up at this crack house, and the guy in front of the crack house is, he sells crack. And I didn't know this, a little education for the viewers. Uh, Crack rocks are stored in cellophane, okay? And put in the gums, okay? And that way, when the cops show up, they can swallow all of the crack, right? And then they don't have any crack on them. And then when the cops go away, they can throw it back up and still, wash off the vomit and, still have the product, if you will. And so he's taken out rocks out of his mouth. I really didn't think we'd be going into this today, by the way. And and he's taken him out, and this guy is arguing with him because he's got the $20, which, by the way, was my $20. And he's saying that none of the rocks are big enough for the $20. I don't know the size situation on crack rocks off the top of my head. And so he got into an argument, and he pulled out the gun, and I sped off because I don't want to die. And he got mad because I lost his $20 and we got too small of a crack rock. And then I let him out where he needed to go, and he got out, and he told me to meet him behind the Best Buy the next week because he was going to give me the $20 back. I just had to meet him at 3:00 next Wednesday behind the Best Buy. Spoiler alert to this story: I did not go to the Best Buy to get my $20 back.
Oh my gosh, man! So you've had a very interesting life, man. You really have.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago, guys.
Oh,
We're talking about when he's like 17 years old. I mean, who doesn't do stupid things when they're 17 years old?
Yeah, but don't pick up hitchhikers. How much crack do you get for $20? You get not much. I'll tell you that much. And apparently we got ripped off, so I'll never know.
I think in the, they call it a bump. You get probably a bump.
Yeah, I'm not an expert. I've never done the crack. I've had it in my vehicle one time, so.
Your little bump. Oh,
so,
man.
And then when I was with my mom, though, we went to this church, and I'm not going to say the name of the church. I'm not here to bash church or anything, but this church was a little extreme on their beliefs, and it was pretty much a cult, and they had like weird like faith healings and big tent revivals and all of this basically thought crime teachings, like you can't even think anything bad or you're going to burn in hell. And that's part of one of my stories of this kid who grows up in that.
So you kind of took from your life experience from that too, from like the
yeah, and
you know what's really interesting, because I can side with you on that too. Like I respect religions and different things, and I know that people believe different things and stuff like that. So I respect all those, and I'm very familiar with Catholic and with Christianity and things like that. So I know that there's different places that are churches that are very judgmental. And to me, I never understood that, because I was like, if you are a church and you are supposed to represent Jesus and you're supposed to do that, like, why is it that you turn these people away with being so judgmental, being like, you can't do this? Because pretty much Jesus is like the opposite. If you look at it, like, Jesus tells you, come as you are, pretty much. And so, like, to me, I never understood. I was like, if you were like a follower and you're a believer, I'm like, why in the world, like, especially if you're trying to get somebody to go into your church to build your congregation, why would you turn these people away that are less desirable people? Because those are the people that need the most help. And isn't that what you created a church for, is to help out as many people that need help as possible? So sometimes to me, it's like, churches and those things, like, it's not all of them. I know it's not all of them, but there's some.
Oh, no, it's not all, but what I've figured out is that there's two types of believers. Okay, there's the believer that wants to be Christ-like, and follow the teachings of Christ, the Beatitudes, the Golden Rule, all those things, and be kind to people. And then there's the Christians that don't want to go to hell. And those are two separate people. So the people that don't want to go to hell are the ones that are the ones you're talking about, the judgmental. They're in it for the end game.
But that's what's so crazy to me too, because like, if you talk about like that, like, we can have a whole conversation about this thing right now. But like, those people that are so afraid of going to hell, like, and that are pushy like that, it talks about not being judgmental upon your neighbor and your other people. And like, here it is, like, so judgmental about people, and they're like casting people out. And that never made sense to me. like, I hope that we can eventually get to a world where it's not so bleak sometimes. Because I mean, like, look at all the different accounts that you could see of murder, and I cover Chris Watts too. Like we
Yeah.
were just talking about it. Chris Watts, one of the, did one of the most heinous crimes and things like that. So there's so much, so much, so much. So do this was your first book that you wrote, correct?
Yeah, I did a collection of short stories a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I took that down off the market. It wasn't like a physical book. It was just a short story collection for digital download. But I took that off, and then that's where I took the stories from that, and then I made this. So
You kept writing stories, and it's kind of like a collection of all the stories that you had to account for,
yeah,
and you
well,
wrote
it
some new
was
ones into it.
the there were stories, and there were like 6 or 7 of them all in the same world, but not. And then I connected them, right? So I wrote all the stories in the same world, and there were a few stories that didn't make it because I told you before, if I write about someone's actual story, I ask them. I say, hey, I want to write about this. Can I? And I I had a few stories that were so sad and so dark. Um, I wrote about them, but I didn't end up publishing because I didn't ask the person, and honestly, I couldn't ask them. It was just such a dark.
Didn't want to do it, huh? It's just like one of those things. Like sometimes,
it was too tough to ask about.
and
Uh,
some things are in life. Like some things are very touchy to touch about. Um, I know that too. Like my family, I've talked about it several times too. There was a murder in my family, and it's still a very sensitive, sore area
yeah,
to touch, especially for like my father, their brothers and their sisters, because um, that's somebody that was their father was taken from them,
yeah,
and like sometimes people don't want to touch those stories because it brings up like so many hurtful things, which I can understand for like the true crime community too. But one of the questions I always get asked and things like that, like of somebody who doesn't understand what it is that I do, is some people come to me and say, um, why are you covering that? Like, don't you know that's rude to the family, and the family doesn't want you to do that and stuff like that? And one of my first things in my head, because they don't know about me, is I'm like, look, my grandfather was murdered too. And yes, did I go do a paranormal investigation? Yes, I absolutely did go do a paranormal investigation because that's what I do. I do paranormal true crime investigations. And just because it's close to home and stuff like that, it's not going to stop or prevent me from doing it. Like
well, the negative people. I don't mean to cut you off, but the negative people that say you can't do that, you can't
Mhm.
talk about that. That's nonsense because
Mhm.
everyone's talking about it anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it.
Well, not
We're
only
just
that
doing
too.
it in a public forum.
You
That's
know
it.
what else makes me laugh though too, Luke, thinking about that is
Yeah.
because the people that are there saying something about it, why are you here in the first place?
Yeah. You don't
You
have to. Yeah.
you saw what the title is about. You jumped in here doing it. So why are you even here in the first place? If you didn't want to support it or you didn't want to know anything about it or whatever, simplest thing to do. Not
Yeah.
watch. Not watch. Just don't
So,
watch.
so I see a question here. Where do you get your inspiration?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to answer that. So there's two types of authors. Okay, in I read a lot, and there's two types of authors. Uh, there's people that believe they have a story to tell. With their life, with whatever's going on inside them. They have one, and they write about it. And then there's storytellers. Like John Grisham or Dean Koontz. They come out with a book every year.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes quicker than that, right? And they they're storytellers. That's their job. But some people just have one thing to say. And I'm more or less that. I might have 2 books in me, but I have a lot of things I want to say. and that's basically the platform I've chosen. Like you've
So
done music, and you've other people do acting, or this
it's
is
just
my
quite interesting.
medium, my medium to get out my thoughts and emotions and feelings.
So where do you see? Okay, so first, what is your goal from writing these books, and what do you want to accomplish? And second, where do you see yourself going? Like, what do you want to do after you you know, either go and get a book deal like that's big for publishing or whatever, or just in your life, like in general, like what do you want to take from this, and what do you want to do?
Weirdly enough, I have, even though the book's only sold a couple hundred copies, it's not a bestseller. Let's be real. It's my first book. I'm an indie. It's from an indie publisher, but I've already, weirdly enough, accomplished my goal. I said I want this to reach one person.
Welcome to me.
I want someone to read this and say, I understand. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I've had a few people come, more than one, and I've had positive reviews on Amazon. It touches me a lot. Like, people understand what I'm saying, and people, I mean, of course I want to get big and have a big book deal, movie rights, whatever. Of course I do. Who wouldn't? But at the end of the day, I've written something, and people have come back and said, wow, I read it all in one setting. I couldn't stop. And I like what you had to say. Can we talk about it? And can we, and that to me, is, everything.
It's almost like you just want to be heard. So kind of what it says is like you want to be heard, whether it be the stories that you tell or your story in general. Sounds like you kind of would be heard by everybody. And I think that's a lot of different people. I mean, if we were honest too about people out there in general, who doesn't want to have a voice? There's not very many people who sit behind a crowd and be like, I don't want to have a voice at all. Like, I think everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to say. Everybody has a story. Everybody has like a past, a history, a future. So everybody absolutely can share a little something.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And I think once I have this book, and I'm working on a new project as well right now. And I think I'm done after that. I'm not going to write forever, but I think this is just something I need to do and I have to do. So I actually started the new project a few weeks ago. I've been thinking about it for years, of course, but I actually started working on it. And every day, and that's my secret. I'm willing to tell your audience my secret of how to finish a project. If you're ready. Are you ready?
Sure. I'm ready. Enlighten us.
This is my secret to finishing a book, or any project actually, is to work on it 15 minutes a day. And that's it. Because sometimes that 15 minutes is just 15 minutes. You just write down a few new ideas or just edit something you've already done. And then sometimes that 15 minutes turns into 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's
good advice.
And you're just in the zone. But what I found is, because I've left projects before and they just don't finish them. Because if you leave that world, it's so hard to get back into, Sure. And so that's how I finished this. It's 15 minutes a day, every day, no exceptions.
That's good. So I think that everybody has a little bit of artist or a little bit of writer, or a little bit of musician in them. So I really do think that the world needs like this. I mean, obviously, like, what's one of the biggest forms of things, everybody, is entertainment. We all are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? And I think that's like legitimately like what it is. It's like entertainment, no matter what it is, whether it be in the movie form, whether it be in a book form, whether it be in a music form. Like, our number one generator that I can think of is, even when you come home from work and stuff, what do you want to usually do? You either want to usually chill, read a book, or you want to chill and you want to watch movies, or you want to listen to music and stuff like that. So like, that's usually like the kicking back thing. Like, everybody has that, where they want to just do one of those things usually.
I see a question here from Jet's mom.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you're getting good at this.
One of the I do feel for the characters. It's violent, so people die in the book. Okay, spoiler alert. Death happens, and I had to kill a character, and it made me so sad. I didn't want to, and
It had to be done.
The path was going, and it kept getting worse, and and it just hurts, because everyone's I view as a person, not just as a half character or a background person. They all have intricate backstories, and which I explain through the book, and so I don't like killing them off.
I'm just gonna say it. Like, I'm gonna tell everybody this here. Like, if you have an opportunity, or if you guys are able to, I would strongly suggest to go check out this book. I have not read it, but from what I've even heard, I already know you as a person, so I just know that your train of thought and your sense of humor and all those things, and I can imagine this being a perfect storm for a really, really good book.
And it's gotten really good reviews.
I think it was like
reviews,
19 or 20 reviews that were 5 stars. Like, so
yeah, and then
you're starting to pick up in the selling world. So I would tell everybody, go pick up this book, because I'm telling you, I guarantee, I already know you, and I just know that people are not going to be disappointed in it, especially if you like the fiction-based type things. Like, you could tell from the character that you were portraying and you were playing, you could tell that you really went into character when you were doing these parts. So, like, I already know it's going to be good. You don't have to sell me on it. I'm sold. Sold.
So the 4 characters, they all end up crossing paths at some time or another.
And are they like kind of like in 2 different worlds, kind of like what you were talking about? How there's some that from the suburbia, and then there's others from the hood.
Yeah, exactly. They all end up meeting somehow. The character that I read earlier, Gracie's dad. He doesn't have a name, actually. He's just Gracie's dad. And every character is around him somehow, and he's kind of the glue for everybody. And that's the writing process and the characters.
Well, I can't wait to read it, Luke. Like, I downloaded it. I even sent you a screenshot of it and showed you. I already bought the book. The book.
You did. Yes.
It's not a matter of not reading it, because I will read it. I have so much stuff that I'm reading right now because of what I'm doing in the paranormal investigation world. I'm starting to study up on demonology too, because
that's a dangerous path to go down.
Yeah, it is. It is very much so. It's not good. It's not good. I can tell you that. But to be knowledgeable about what you're dealing with is like what my field is. And so I try to educate as much as I can. But I have like that book. I have like Joyce Meyer's books. I have Joel Osteen books. I have the Bible that I'm always reading. Like, I'm like reading. I don't know what it is, like, but like I've been like feeding myself in. I think it's more me trying to draw closer, obviously, to God or whatever. But
you want to read every day. That's what I try to do. Something, just a couple chapters of something.
I didn't used to be like that. And I think the older that I get, the more that I want to read. I used to read to increase my knowledge. I didn't like to be stupid on things. So I would read even some of the most boring ass books. Like, I read psychology books. I've read programming books. I've read some of the most like boring like things to do, but I just want to be educated and like so many different things. And I'm like, whenever I find like a book that I'm like, could I use that in my life? Like, especially the psychology book. I read that when I was like in 19 or something like that, 19 or 20. And I started reading that because I'm like, I want to have a one-up. I want to be knowledgeable about that. I don't want to be like the awkward one in the conversation that's like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I never wanted to be that guy.
Well, the good thing about my book is that it's not that big, right?
Yeah.
And
that's perfect.
A lot of people, it's only it says it's 138, but really it's only, with a couple pages in the back and the title in the front, I think it's only 125.
That's not bad.
And a
That'll take
lot
me
of
a
people say that they read it in one
few
setting.
days. Yeah.
Just once they sit down, they open it, they can't stop, and that's the biggest compliment. That's the biggest compliment to me. Just I couldn't stop reading it. So, and it all comes back around. Everybody, first chapter to the last chapter, it all comes back.
Well, I think we got some people here that are very interested in your book, Mr. Luke, and I myself have already purchased it. I'm going to read it and then tell you, because I can't wait to read it and be like, dude, what the hell with like this character? What the hell is this character's problem? Like, seriously. Like,
yeah, and if you guys do get it, if you like it, or you know what, I'll say this: if you don't like it, leave a review. Tell me what you think. I'll take a negative review. I won't like it. I'll make this face. I'll be sad, but I want to hear what you have to say, even if it's negative.
That's what makes it cool, though.
If you hate it and it sucks, give me a 1-star review and say, "Hey, you suck." I don't know why you would type like this. Please don't. But yeah, give me a bad review. Do it.
Oh,
I'll take it.
Yeah. I've been the same, man. I'll tell you, I've been the same with my music too. I'm like, look, if there's people out there, I'm all for opinions. And I always stated, even on my channel, when I have like a ton of people, there's sometimes, 1,000+ people in my chat.
Yeah.
And I tell them the same thing. I'm like I can't, I'm not gonna make everybody happy. So like, if you don't like me, that's okay. If you want to give me a thumbs down, it's okay. If you don't, it's your opinion of me. Like, it doesn't make me as a person.
Yes.
It's your opinion of what I might do or what I might be doing. And it's the same with the music too. Like, I used to get, can you imagine how many crusty looks I used to get when I was younger, when you had came to that concert even too? Like, you saw people around even before, right? When I stepped on concert, it's kind of like, oh, here comes white guy. He's gonna try to rap. Here we go. We're getting Eminem. Everybody from 313. Put your mother. I got those looks too. You saw it. You saw it too.
Your shows though were unique. You always had some kind of element that was different than everyone else.
Had to.
And I mean, you had different lights. You had different. I mean, your beats were different. Your show setup was different. I mean, a lot of people would just show up in a t-shirt and a white light and just.
I'm like, no, I don't go that. If anybody knows me, anything they know I do, I don't like to put like this 2% into it. Like, if I'm into it, I'm doing it. I'm into it. There's one concert. Did you go to the concert?
I'm talking lights. I mean,
did you go to the one concert when
I almost fell down with those lights on a thing coming down, and it was on the floor, and
the glow stick?
Step, I almost lost it. Almost ate dirt.
Were you there on the glow stick?
I was there on the glow sticks. Yeah, that was the same night. I wasn't. No alcohol, no nothing. Well, maybe that's not true. I don't know. But yeah, you had the lights going down, and it would just. I can't even explain it, but I took one step and I almost fell.
So this was years ago, guys. This is years ago. So back in 2005, I did a concert, and I'm not going to disclose the location, but I went and I did a concert. But I provided everybody in the audience, in the crowd, I provided everybody glow sticks, and I came out with me and my posse in glow stick jumpsuits, and so we had them dim the lights down really low so nobody could really see, and all you could see was glow sticks going everywhere, and we're over there doing like hip hop with glow stick jumpsuits, and we look like little stickman figures.
I mean, no one else had anything like that going on.
You had to be creative, man. You had to be creative. Oh shoot. Well, is there anything else you want to tell the viewers on here? Like, I'll probably let you get going because I know you got family and I got family, and we got to do our
sure. Well, first, like I said, thanks for having me on, giving me a chance to share my story and share this story and my story. It's very gracious of you, and I thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you being here too.
Of course.
Like I said, you're a very unique individual, and I'm trying to actually look up your book on Amazon right now so that I can show the viewers on Facebook too as well.
Okay.
I got to make sure I get used to this going like simultaneously.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I'm the guinea pig, which is fine. I've been a guinea pig my whole life.
You are. Oh, Christy is. Thank you so much, Christy Flanagan. She did a super sticker, and it was a lot of money. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Christy's always been a awesome person at the. There's people that donate on the channel, Luke, to try to help support the cause and things like that.
Yeah,
So
of course.
a super sticker in your world, it'd be like somebody going, especially at this, it'd be like someone going and buying like 10 of your books. So it'd be like, it's just like, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and donating. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up your book right now.
Okay.
On Amazon. So like I said, I can show. Here it is right here. And I can attest to, because we're gonna actually show there's 19 comments right there. There's the proof. The proof is in the pudding, and it's a 5-star. So you're doing good. You're starting to step up. Excuse me. You already got 19 people to review your book, and it's 5-star rating. So that's pretty awesome.
The hard part is, I mean, and this is going to sound terrible, but I've read lots and lots of books, and I've never reviewed one. You know, so people reading it and then getting
reviews are huge.
So many people have to read a book before one person reviews it. And I'm just as, I mean, I'm so thankful for those reviews, but I'm so guilty of not reviewing books that I read, you know? So
isn't that crazy? And I used to be the same too. I used to be guilty too. Like before, when I would watch YouTube, I wasn't always on YouTube and like watching YouTube. I wasn't really big of a person like to go on people's things and watch YouTube until recently when I started the channel. And then I'm like, I actually got into it. I'm like, hey, there's some really good people out there that are creators and things like that are on YouTube that I actually enjoy watching and things like that. So it's actually pretty, I'm like, wow, this is actually cool. But I wasn't a big person to go on that. So I was guilty of that prior to too, as well, where I'd watch somebody's stuff way back in the day and I wouldn't give them a thumbs up or I wouldn't give them a like or anything like that. Now I don't ever like promote it. I'm never like anybody. Like, I don't jump on my channel. I'm like, hey, thumbs up, everybody. Like, if you like it, cool. I hope you like it, and I hope you give me a thumbs up. If you don't, like, I'm like, that's cool, too. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you stopping. Either way, I'm glad you're here, you know? So, but thanks so much for coming on, Luke. It sounds like a truly interesting book. And this, again, I'll say it's Children of Violence by Luke Gherardi. Children of Violence, showing everybody here. Make sure you go grab your copy. It's not even honestly that much. You can get a Kindle version for, I think it was what,
I think it's $5.
$5. Yeah.
If you have Amazon Prime right now, I think it's free, so you can just click on it and get it.
That's the other thing too. If you guys have Amazon Prime, you just heard him. But we would love for it if you do that.
I think I get some money off of that, but I'm not even care. I'm not even concerned about the money right now anyway.
And at least leave a comment for him too. So that'd be cool. So people that if you have the Amazon Prime, you can get the book for free. Still tosses of money, but give them an honest review. Like that's all I ever asked for too on my music too. I'm like, shoot, give me an honest review. If you think I suck, and that's that. So, but yeah, we appreciate you coming on, Luke. Thank you so much. Your book sounds very interesting. I know you to be a very unique individual, so I can guarantee that this book is going to be crazy, and I can't wait to read it, man. I didn't get a chance to show your video.
That's bummed. Okay. We can do it next time.
I'm bummed. I'm bummed, man.
It's all right. You can put it in the Facebook comments.
You know what? Actually, you know what? Screw that. I'm like, why I'm here? I already have this phone here. You're like, no, you don't have to. It's cool. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Where did you go, though? I got to find you now. Come on, man. Should we? Oh, here it is. I got to show everybody this, man. I'm sorry. It's his daughter sitting there dancing. That's right. Man, that's precious. You're going to look back on those moments, and your daughter's going to look back on those moments, and she's going to be like, I'm so grateful that my dad was such a cool dad. Like, that's honest to God the truth, man. Like, I see that. Like, I saw that earlier today, and I even smiled, like, as a father, because I know I'm like, oh my God, like, that's something that you can't get back, man. Like, you can't get those years back. And I know your kid's going to look back at you and be like, my dad was so awesome. So right on, man. Well, thanks again so much for having me, and thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you, Christy, for the donation, and thank you to all the new members. Welcome to the family. I'm happy to have you here. I'm glad you guys took part and joined in on. I have a few things coming up, guys, too. Tomorrow I will be on with Sherilyn. I haven't got the link yet, but I'm telling you, it's some big Watts news. You guys are not going to want to miss this. I can't disclose what it is, but all I can say is it's big news. It's big news coming. And so yeah, catch me tomorrow on the live. As soon as I get the live, guys, I'll post it to you guys so you guys can be ready for that tomorrow.
Oh, what time is that? I'm sorry to interrupt. What time is that?
It'll be 8 Central Time. So my time would be Mountain Standard Time would be 7 p.m.
7 tomorrow? Okay.
7 tomorrow. So you should check it out. Yeah, you should come check it out too, Mr. Luke, if you're available too. But everybody else in the chat too, make sure you check that out. I have other things in the work that's going on. So hang tight, and guys, we're gonna get some stuff going again too. So thank you everybody for tuning in on Facebook. I appreciate you guys. This is my first one, so we're kind of just trying to figure things out. So thank you so much for joining, everybody that's on Facebook. And to all my YouTube warriors, my soldiers, my peeps, my homies, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for all that you've done for the channel, and I appreciate you guys being here today to support my good friend Luke. He came out with his book, and if you have a chance, go buy it, guys. I'm telling you, I know you won't be disappointed. All right, Luke, we'll talk to you later, brother, and thanks for coming on again. I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you very much. Right. Thank you, everybody.
See you. Oh man, what a good guy! What a good guy! And you could tell from when he went and did that. That's why I really wanted to show you guys that, is because I was like, he's such a good guy, like deep down. And so, like when you heard these different words that were coming out of his mouth, he is a very, how would you say it? He's a guy who exaggerates things very, very much, but to the point where they're so freaking hilarious. So he's a really good guy. Deep down. So when you heard those different like words coming out of the mouth and stuff, that is not at all like how he talks on a regular basis. So like to see him get into character was actually kind of cool and stuff like that. So thank you so much again for joining, guys. I hope that you go check out that book, because it sounds fantastic, even from what he read, and those characters sound absolutely amazing too. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow for the special news that'll be about the Watts. As usual, I know you guys know I go into the Watts, especially recently more, because more things have been going down lately with Watts, and you guys heard that on our last live too. So you guys have a good rest of your evening. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you all, and we will talk to you guys again tomorrow. All right, have a good night, guys.